So we finally received the much anticipated update for Dream League Soccer 2023, and I have thoughts. So since this was a rather small update, instead of reviewing the new features like I normally do, I'm just going to be talking about them and giving my 100% honest review of this update. So let's get right into it. So why don't we start easy and talk about the most advertised feature of this update, which is the new Best 11 button, which is honestly probably in the worst spot imaginable. Basically, what this feature does is put the highest rated player you have that plays each position in the chosen formation. So for example, for your left back, it will pick the highest rated left back to fill your team in that position. Pretty simple. Except it's kind of useless. If you don't know by now, in Dream League Soccer, you can put any player you want anywhere without punishment, so most Dream League Soccer players just play their players out of position. We either put center backs as fullbacks, second strikers as wingers, or God forbid, attacking midfielders as center mids. So basically what the game thinks our best 11 is nowhere close to what our actual best 11 is, based off of what we think the best 11 is. So naturally, I would assume that the majority of Dream League Soccer players will just ignore that gigantic button at the side of their team, because they will never click it. It is not useful. What I think would have been more useful in this update was if the best 11 feature took stamina into consideration. Imagine you just finished playing a game where you didn't get the chance to put on your subs, so your team is tired. So naturally, you want to switch the tired players for more energized ones on the bench. This can happen in almost every game for some players, especially those who don't have max teams yet. Wouldn't it be nice if that best 11 button actually put on fully energized players on your team, since that would probably be your best 11 for that particular game? But you know what? I have to hand it to First Touch Games for finding these small, basically useless features to add in these mid-season updates. I'm impressed. Anyway, we're going to be moving on from that feature. Next, we're going to talk about the updated team data and the upgrades and downgrades. In this update, Courtois is now tied with Alisson for the highest rated goalkeeper at 85 overall, and I'd say that's pretty deserving after those UCL semifinal games. Meanwhile, Haaland broke the Premier League most goals in a season record, and he's still 86 overall. Okay, First Touch Games. Now, there are obviously other rating changes that I did not mention, but nothing too groundbreaking, so that's about it for that. I'd say that ratings, position changes, and new player faces is just a requirement for every single update, and they didn't do anything extraordinary, which is okay, because there's always a chance to do something extraordinarily bad. Don't remind me of that messy face that one time. Next up in this update, there was an odd change to the transfer market. I still can't figure out what they really did, but there's just something off about it. First of all, legendary players now show up in the middle instead of the top, which is fine. It doesn't really matter, doesn't really bother me. But what does bother me is that we can't seem to get consistently 2 legendary players to show up in the transfer market anymore. It seems like after this update, I've had way more times where I've only seen 1 legendary player, and I've even had times where I've seen 0. Like, it was only rare and commons. Like, it was just disappointing. Now, I don't know if this was a strategic play by First Touch Games or it's just a coincidence, but you know what? If it was a strategic play, I know what you're getting at, First Touch Games. I know you want me to buy scouts. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's move on to gameplay. Now, in the past, I could never really get a good analysis on gameplay changes from every update. I kind of just play a few games to see if I win or lose a little bit more, and then make my decision, to be honest. Now, in this most recent update, I didn't notice anything super crazy. I still hit posts, long shots still go in, but what I did notice was increasingly dumb defenders. Like, especially when you like putting lob through passes over their heads. But what I'm more focused about in gameplay for this review is what happened to Dream League Soccer Online. As of what I've experienced so far, if you are tied with your opponent and they disconnect, the match will be abandoned and you don't get the win anymore. We all know we used to get the win no matter what the score was if our opponent disconnects. Now, I would also naturally assume that the person who does disconnect still loses, but the other player now gets nothing. Like, it's like they never even played the game. Now, I don't really know how I feel about this change. If your opponent disconnects, you should win, even if it's not clear that you deserve to. Although I do believe that this is the behavior in FIFA, unless they changed it since 2015, because I haven't played it since. I just remember if you were playing Ultimate Team online in FIFA and your opponent disconnected, you had to be winning in order to get the win. Otherwise, it would be canceled, just like the behavior is now for Dream League Soccer. So I guess that might have been why First Touch Games changed it, but like, I don't know, it was working so well. Why'd you have to change it? And while we're on the topic of disconnecting, you now get punished for quitting games. Yeah, like actually punished. Before the update, your player stamina would be cut in half if you quit a game, which honestly was punishing enough in my opinion, but now they have timeouts, or like bans. You can't play online for a certain amount of time if you've quit games. So if you quit enough games in Dream League Online, they will not let you play another game until you go to your room and think about what you've done. I actually find this totally unnecessary. Now, I would understand putting in punishments if you were playing with teammates and you would be ruining their chances at winning by disconnecting, but if you play by yourself, you aren't punishing anyone but yourself. And that punishment should just be losing that game. Not a ban, not your stamina decreasing, just you losing. But I guess with the new changes to online disconnecting, this stops players from purposely disconnecting to force an abandoned match for their opponent. But this wouldn't even be a problem if we still got the win when they disconnected. Then the only other reason I could think of implementing this was so players with challenges like score 5 goals in a Dream League Live match can actually complete it without their opponent disconnecting halfway through. But I'll tell you, for such games, there was just a simpler solution. Just take those challenges out of the game. They're super hard and people re-roll them anyway. But overall, I really don't know what to think. There must have been a valid reason for all of these changes, or First Touch Games wouldn't do it. At least I hope. They didn't do it for no reason. Please don't tell me that. But I do feel like these changes are just so unnecessary. They're starting to touch things that just shouldn't be touched. Like they're working just fine. And then meanwhile, they're leaving the rest of the game that I feel like should be touched and should be improved. They're just leaving it. They're not doing anything about it. Wait. Hold on. My Wi-Fi was... This new update sucks. Alright, let's take a break from that, take a little bit of a deep breath, and finish off this video. I'm done talking about what was included in this update. Let's finish off this video of what was not included in this update. First thing not included in this update was Season Pass. Sure, they changed the gems and coins image, or just how it looks, but that's really not enough, okay? I am looking for Season Pass exclusive challenges for extra rewards for Season Pass owners, as well as just normally extra challenges that help you progress through Season Pass, like giving season points as a reward, because it's pretty slow. You need to grind pretty hard to get it all away, and I just don't think that's the case in many other games. We also didn't get anything new for events. I can say confidently that events have been getting kind of boring and have basically become another frustrating way to get more progression. And since events are super predictable and haven't really changed throughout the years, it's kind of boring, and I would like something new. And finally, I do say this in every updates prediction or update review, and that is to fix the recruitment facility. They still have it. They still have it the same. I guess they're just not. I've given up, I guess. It's by far the most useless facility. I don't really know why they added it in the first place. I kind of wish they replaced it with something that would actually help your progression instead of just destroy it. Okay, so now I've said everything I wanted to say. Let's give this update a final ranking. I think it's pretty obvious how I feel about this update. It was late and unnecessary, with all the changes being questionable in my opinion. Do I think the game is better after this update? No. Do I think it's worse? Maybe, but I think it's still too early to tell. I think there is a common theme throughout the Dream League Soccer community that Dream League Soccer gets worse every update, which I don't personally think is true, but after this update, I might consider it a little more, honestly. Now, I do understand that this is the mid-season update and it's not supposed to be huge, so my expectations shouldn't have been high, but was this update really necessary? I still question that. Like, we already got the winter transfer update back in March, and it's May now. Like, this kind of caught me off guard, not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting it. And it would have been really nice if it was a really good update and I wasn't expecting it, but man, I was kind of just like, why? Why was this here? But all we can really do now is hope Dream League Soccer 2024 doesn't completely ruin the game. But for now, I am giving this update a 3 out of 10. Just not very impressed. But with that, that is the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought about this update and whether or not you agree with my points. I would love to discuss in the comments down below. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next one.